Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question today. Do you believe in yourself? Do you truly deep down believe that you were created for a purpose? That you are not an accident? That your life has meaning beyond what the world tells you? Too many people live in doubt, fear, and insecurity. They listen to the voices that say, "You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not strong enough." And some of you sitting here today have heard those voices for too long. But I came here today to tell you something. You were created for something greater. I don't care what the world has told you. I don't care what your past looks like. I don't care how many times you failed. God put something inside of you that the world cannot take away. And I'm here to tell you, it's time to believe in you. You were made for more. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. The very breath in your lungs is proof that you have a purpose. When God created you, He put something unique inside of you. There's no one else like you. The enemy wants to steal your confidence, but God wants you to know you are chosen. We live in a world that constantly beats people down. It tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not successful enough. But let me tell you, the world does not have the final say. You may have been broken, you may have been knocked down, but when God is on your side, no failure is final. A champion who refused to quit many years ago, a young man was told he was too dumb to succeed. His teachers told him he would never amount to anything. He failed over and over again. Do you know who that man was? Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. They said he failed 10,000 times, but do you know what he said? "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." What if he had given up? What if he had stopped believing in himself? You see, the difference between success and failure isn't talent, it's belief. The power of belief changes everything. When you believe in yourself, something supernatural happens. You begin to walk with confidence. You begin to rise above fear. The Bible says in Philippians 4:13, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." It does not say some things, it does not say a few things, it says all things. So why are you doubting? Why are you letting fear control your life? Fear is the enemy of faith. Some of you sitting here today are afraid of failure, afraid of what people will say. But fear is a liar. It whispers, "You're not enough." But I want to tell you the truth today. You are more than enough. Your past does not define you. Some of you think, "But you don't know my past. I've messed up too many times." Let me tell you something. Your past does not define your future. Look at Moses. He was a murderer. Look at David. He was an adulterer. Look at Paul. He persecuted Christians. But God used them to change the world. Speak life over yourself. What are you saying about yourself? Are you speaking words of life, or are you speaking words of defeat? Because your words shape your future. When you wake up, don't say, "I'm not good enough." Say, "I am more than a conqueror." Don't say, "I can't do it." Say, "God is for me. Who can be against me?" Surround yourself with the right people. The people around you will either lift you up or pull you down. If you're always around people who are negative, people who don't believe in themselves, guess what? It will rub off on you. But if you surround yourself with dreamers, believers, and people of faith, you will start to see things change in your life. Take action. Step out in faith. Believing in yourself is not just a feeling, it's an action. Peter never would have walked on water if he didn't step out of the boat. David never would have killed Goliath if he didn't pick up that stone. Some of you have been waiting for a sign. This is your sign. Step out in faith. Keep going no matter what. The enemy will try to stop you. The world will try to discourage you. But listen to me. Never give up. When you fall, get back up. When you fail, try again. When the world says no, God is saying keep going. The greatest truth God believes in you. I want to leave you with this final thought. Even when you don't believe in yourself, God believes in you. He has a plan for your life. He sees your struggles. He knows your pain. But He is calling you higher. He is saying you are chosen, you are loved, you are powerful. So today, my friend, make a decision. Say it with me. I believe in me. I believe in the purpose God has for me. I will not quit. I will rise. I will walk in faith. And if you believe it, shout amen. You were made for more. You are not an accident. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered why you're here? Have you ever stared at the vast ocean and felt small, like just another grain of sand in an endless shore? Maybe you've asked yourself, what is my purpose? Does my life even matter? I want you to hear me today. You were made for more. You are not an accident. You are not just another face in the crowd. You are not here by mistake. Think about it. Out of 8 billion people on this planet, there is only one you. There has never been another person with your exact DNA, your exact fingerprint, your exact voice, your exact thoughts, and there never will be. If you were just an accident, why would you be so uniquely crafted? Why would you carry talents, dreams, and desires in your heart that no one else carries in quite the same way? Take a moment and think about a painter. When a painter creates a masterpiece, they don't just throw colors on a canvas and hope it turns into something beautiful. No, every stroke, every shade, every detail is carefully chosen. A painter sees the vision before the world sees the art. That's exactly how you were made, with intention, with purpose, with divine design. And yet, we live in a world that tries to tell us otherwise. Maybe you've been told you were a mistake. Maybe someone said you'd never amount to anything. Maybe life has beaten you down so hard that you started to believe those lies. But hear me today. The opinions of others do not define you. The circumstances of your birth do not define you. Your past does not define you. Let me tell you a story. There was a young boy born into extreme poverty. His father left when he was a child, and his mother struggled to feed him. At school, his teacher said he wasn't smart enough. He failed countless times. His friends abandoned him. He had every reason to give up, but deep down, something inside of him refused to quit. He believed there was more to his life than the struggles he was facing. That boy was Albert Einstein. What if he had believed what the world told him? What if he had settled for less? What if he had settled for less? What if he had said, maybe I really am just a failure? Do you see? The world may not recognize your value at first, but your value was never dependent on the world's recognition. Maybe you're sitting here today feeling like life has passed you by. Maybe you've faced rejection after rejection. Maybe your dreams seem so far away that you don't even know if they're worth chasing anymore. But listen to me. You were made for more. Think about a seed. When you plant a seed, you don't see anything right away. It looks small. It looks insignificant. It gets buried underground in darkness. And if you didn't know any better, you might think that seed was nothing. But deep within, something is happening. The roots are forming. The strength is growing. And one day, that tiny seed breaks through the soil and becomes a mighty tree. Maybe right now you feel like that seed, hidden, overlooked, buried by life's struggles. But just because you don't see the growth yet doesn't mean it's not happening. You are in the process of becoming who you were created to be. So what do? You keep going. You keep believing. You stop listening to the voices that say you are not enough, because you are enough. You were born with a purpose. You were made for something greater than the pain, greater than the past, greater than the struggles you face. And one day, just like that seed, you will rise. You were made for more. Never forget that. The world will try to break you, but God will strengthen you. Hardships don't define you. There comes a time in every person's life when the weight of the world feels unbearable. The disappointments, the failures, the betrayals, the unexpected tragedies. Sometimes life feels like one battle after another. And if you've ever felt like you were breaking under the pressure, you are not alone. Maybe you've lost a job when you needed it the most. Maybe someone you trusted walked away when you thought they'd always be there. Maybe you've faced rejection after rejection, and now you wonder if you're even good enough. Let me tell you something powerful today. The world will try to break you, but God will strengthen you. Hardships do not define you. Pain does not get to write your story. The setbacks, the struggles, the storms of life, they are not the final chapter. Think about a diamond. Do you know how a diamond is made? It doesn't start out beautiful and valuable. It starts as a piece of coal, dark, dirty, and seemingly insignificant. But when that coal is placed under intense heat and pressure, something incredible happens. The very pressure that should have destroyed it transforms it into one of the most valuable substances on earth. What if I told you that your struggles are doing the same thing? Right now you might be in the fire. You might feel like life has pressed you on every side, but hear me today, God is using it to make you stronger. Let me remind you of someone who faced unimaginable hardship. His name was Joseph. As a young boy, he had dreams of greatness, but the moment he shared his dreams, the world turned against him. His own brothers betrayed him, threw him into a pit, and sold him as a slave. And just when things started to get better, he was falsely accused and thrown into prison. Year after year he suffered. If anyone had a reason to say, God has forgotten me, it was Joseph. But do you know what happened? God was with him through it all. The pit didn't define him. The prison didn't define him. The betrayal didn't define him. And when the time was right, God raised him up from the lowest place and made him a ruler over an entire nation. The very ones who tried to break him had to come to him for help. Listen to me, what was meant to break you, God will use to bless you. Maybe you're going through your own prison season. Maybe life has knocked you down so many times that you don't even feel like getting up anymore. But you have a choice. You can let the hardship define you, or you can let God refine you. You can say, this is the end, or you can say, this is just the beginning. Because hardships are not meant to destroy you, they are meant to develop you. Think about an eagle. When a storm comes, most birds hide. They take cover, they try to escape, but not the eagle. The eagle does something incredible. It spreads its wings, locks them in place, and lets the storm carry it higher. What if the very storm you're facing right now is meant to lift you to a place you've never been before? What if the pain is producing a strength in you that nothing else could? What if, in the middle of the struggle, God is whispering, hold on. I am with you. I am strengthening you. I am working all things for your good. The world will try to break you. It will throw obstacles in your path. It will tell you that you are not enough. But God will take what was meant for harm and turn it into your testimony. So stand tall. Keep going. Refuse to let the hardship define you. Because just like that diamond, just like that eagle, just like Joseph, you are being prepared for something greater than you can imagine. Hold on. Stay strong. God is strengthening you even now. The power of belief changes everything. What you believe about yourself determines your success. There is a force more powerful than money, talent, or even luck. It is the power of belief, the deep, unshakable conviction that you can, you will, and you must succeed. Most people think success is about intelligence or opportunity, but I want to tell you something today. It starts in your mind. What you believe about yourself determines what you become. If you believe you are capable, you will rise. If you believe you are a failure, you will fall, even before you try. Think about a circus elephant. From the time it is a baby, the trainers tie a rope around its leg and attach it to a small stake in the ground. The baby elephant tugs and pulls, but it is too weak to break free. Eventually, it accepts that it cannot escape. Now, here's the incredible part. When the elephant grows into a full-size, powerful creature capable of pulling down entire trees, it never tries to break free. Why? Because in its mind, it still believes it is trapped. Some of you have chains on your mind that were put there years ago. Maybe someone told you you'll never make it. Maybe you failed once and now you think you'll always fail. Maybe you've convinced yourself that success is for other people but not for you. But I came to tell you today, those chains are not real anymore. If you could just believe in what's inside of you, if you could see what God has placed in you, you would stop doubting. You would stop holding yourself back. You would start walking, talking, and living like a person who was born for more. Let me tell you about a man who understood this. Years ago, a young man grew up so poor that he had to drop out of school. He failed in business. He was rejected from law school. He lost multiple elections. Most people would have given up. Most people would have said, maybe I'm not meant for success. But not him. He believed something different. He believed that his failures were stepping stones, not stop signs. And you know who that man was? Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States. He had every reason to quit. He had every reason to say, maybe I'm just not good enough. But he believed that he was called for something greater, and that belief changed history. Now let me ask you, what do you believe about yourself? Do you believe that you are strong, talented, and capable? Or do you believe the lies that say, I'm not smart enough, not lucky enough, not good enough? Because whatever you believe, you will live out. If you believe you are a winner, you will act like one. If you believe you are meant to struggle forever, you will stay stuck. Look at great athletes. They don't step onto the field hoping they'll win. They step onto the field knowing they have trained, knowing they have prepared, knowing they are ready. You don't become a champion by accident. You become a champion because you believe you can be one. Your mind is your battlefield. If you change your thoughts, you will change your life. The greatest battles are won before the fight begins, in the mind. So today I challenge you, stop believing in limitations and start believing in possibilities. Stop listening to the voices of doubt and start speaking words of faith. Stop telling yourself what you can't do and start declaring what you will do. Because the moment you truly believe in yourself, that is the moment everything begins to change. Fear is the enemy of faith. Fear lies. Faith speaks truth. Fear, it is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It whispers lies in the dark, paralyzes dreams, and stops people from stepping into the greatness they were meant for. It tells you you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you'll never make it. But today I want you to hear something powerful. Fear is a liar. Faith, on the other hand, speaks the truth. Faith says you are capable, you are chosen, you are more than a conqueror. Fear will try to hold you back, but faith will push you forward. Fear will lock you in a prison of doubt, but faith will set you free. Let me ask you a question. What would your life look like if you weren't afraid? Think about it. How many times have you hesitated because fear gripped you? How many dreams have you let slip away because fear convinced you it wasn't possible? How many opportunities have you passed up because fear whispered, what if you fail? Now let me tell you a story. Years ago, there was a young boy who grew up poor. He wasn't the smartest in his class. He wasn't the strongest or the most talented. And worse, he had a terrible fear of speaking in front of people. Every time he tried, his voice would shake, His hands would tremble and his words would come out all wrong. One day, his teacher asked him to give a speech in front of the class. He was terrified. He could have made an excuse. He could have avoided it, but something inside him told him, do it afraid. So with knees shaking and heart pounding, he stood up and spoke. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't smooth, but he did it. And the next time he did it again and again. That young boy grew up to be one of the greatest leaders in history, Winston Churchill. What if he had let fear win? What if he had believed the lie that said, you're not good enough? The world would have never known the leader who inspired a nation through war, the voice that spoke courage when fear was everywhere. Now let me ask you, what are you letting fear steal from you? Maybe you have a dream inside of you, but fear keeps telling you it's impossible. Maybe you have a calling, but fear whispers, you're not the right person. Maybe you've been standing on the edge of a decision, but fear has convinced you to stay where it's safe. But I'm here to tell you today, faith is greater than fear. Fear sees the obstacle, faith sees the opportunity. Fear says it's impossible. Faith says all things are possible. Fear whispers doubt, faith declares victory. Think about a small child learning to walk. The first time they try, they fall. Then they try again, and they fall again. But they don't stop. Why? Because they haven't learned fear yet. They don't sit there and think, what if I never walk? They just keep getting up, believing they will, and eventually they do. But as we grow older, fear creeps in. We start believing the lies. We stop trying. We stay where it's comfortable. But listen, faith is stepping out even when you're afraid. Peter, one of Jesus' disciples, was in a boat when he saw Jesus walking on water. He had a choice: stay in the boat where it was safe or step out in faith. For a moment, Peter walked on water. He did what seemed impossible. But the moment he let fear take over, he began to sink. That's what fear does. It drowns you. But faith makes you walk on water. So today I want to challenge you. Stop letting fear have the final word. Fear is not your master. Fear is not the truth. The truth is you are stronger than you think, you are more capable than you realize, and you were created for something greater than a life controlled by fear. So whatever it is, do it afraid. Step out in faith. Because on the other side of fear is the life you were meant to live. Your past does not define you. God can use anyone, no matter their past. Have you ever felt like your past is too messy, too broken, or too full of mistakes to ever have a fresh start? Have you ever thought, I've made too many wrong choices? I've fallen too many times. There's no way I can be used for anything good. If that's you, listen closely. Your past does not define you. The world might try to label you by your failures, by your regrets, by the worst moments of your life. But God does not see you through the lens of your past. He sees you through the lens of grace, redemption, and purpose. Think about this. Some of the greatest people in history, the ones who changed the world, the ones we admire, were not perfect. They had struggles, failures, and flaws, but their past didn't define them. Instead, their decision to move forward did. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Moses. Moses wasn't born into an easy life. He was supposed to be killed as a baby, but by God's plan, he was rescued and raised in the palace of Pharaoh. It seemed like he had a great future ahead, but one day, in a moment of anger, he made a terrible mistake. He killed a man. Filled with fear, he ran away into the wilderness. For years, he lived in hiding, convinced that his purpose was over. He was a fugitive, a failure, a man with blood on his hands. But then God showed up. God didn't say, Moses, because of your past, I can't use you. No, he said, Moses, I have chosen you to lead my people to freedom. Imagine that. A murderer becoming the leader of a nation. A man who thought he had thrown his life away was actually standing on the edge of his greatest calling. Moses had a choice: stay stuck in shame or step forward in faith. And because he chose faith, his story didn't end in failure. It ended in freedom, miracles, and purpose. Now let me ask you, what if Moses had let his past define him? What if he had said, I'm too broken, I've messed up too badly, God can't use me? Then millions of people would have remained in slavery. You see, your past is not the end of your story. It is just a chapter. And God can take the worst parts of your life and turn them into the greatest testimony. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you've fallen into addiction, made poor choices, hurt people, or even hurt yourself. But hear me today, you are not your mistakes. Think about a scar. A scar is a mark left behind from a wound that is healed. It reminds you of where you've been, but it doesn't define where you're going. In fact, scars are proof that you survived. They are proof that you are still standing. The enemy wants you to believe that because of your past, you are disqualified. But God says your past is the very thing I will use to show my glory. Look at Paul in the Bible. He wasn't just a sinner. He persecuted and murdered Christians. If anyone had a past that should have disqualified him, it was Paul. And yet God didn't just forgive Paul. He used him to write most of the New Testament and spread the message of Jesus across the world. Do you think God didn't know Paul's past? Do you think he was surprised? No. But God saw something greater. He saw what Paul could become, and he sees the same in you. So let me ask you, are you letting your past keep you from your purpose? Are you holding on to shame, guilt, or regret? Are you believing the lie that says, I'm too far gone? Because if you are, it's time to let it go. Doesn't matter where you've been, it matters where you're going. God does not look at your past to decide your future. So today, choose to step forward. Choose to believe that your story isn't over. Because when God gets involved, even the most broken pieces can become something beautiful. Speak life over yourself. Your words shape your destiny. What if I told you that the most powerful tool in your life isn't your talent, your connections, or even your circumstances? What if I told you that your words, the very things you speak over yourself every day, are shaping your destiny? Many people go through life speaking words of defeat, doubt, and negativity over themselves without even realizing it. They say things like, I'm not good enough. I'll never be successful. I always mess things up. I'm just not meant for greatness. And then they wonder why their life reflects those very words. Let me tell you something today. Your words have power. Your words are seeds. When you plant words of faith, confidence, and victory, you will see growth in your life. But if you constantly plant words of doubt, failure, and fear, you will reap a harvest of struggle and limitation. Think about a farmer. A farmer doesn't go out into a field, plant corn, and expect to grow wheat. No, the farmer understands that whatever he plants is what he will harvest. The same is true with your words. What you speak is what you will see. Let me give you an example. There was a young boy who struggled with stuttering. Every time he spoke, people laughed. Teachers told him he wouldn't amount to much. Even his own mind told him he was not capable. But one day something changed. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, he started saying, I am improving. Instead of saying, I'll never succeed, he said, I will find my purpose. Instead of saying, I am weak, he declared, I am strong. Day by day, his words began to change his mindset. His mindset changed his actions, and years later, that same boy who once struggled to speak became one of the greatest public speakers the world has ever known. His name was Les Brown. What changed for him? His words. Listen to me, your words set the direction for your life in the Bible. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. That means the words you speak are either bringing life or bringing destruction. Some people pray for success, but then speak failure over themselves. They ask God for open doors, but then say, I don't think I'll ever catch a break. They hope for better relationships, but then say, I always attract the wrong people. Do you see the problem? You cannot speak defeat and expect to walk in victory. Think about an architect. Before a building is constructed, there are blueprints. The blueprints determine what the final structure will look like. Your words are your blueprint for your future. So I ask you, what kind of life are you building with your words? If you've been speaking words of limitation, it's time to change your language. Instead of saying, I can't do this, start saying, with God's strength, I can do all things. Instead of saying, I'll always be stuck, start declaring, I am moving forward. Instead of saying, I am not worthy, start affirming, I am chosen, I am valuable, I have a purpose. Because the truth is, when you change your words, you change your world. So today, make a decision. Speak life over yourself. Your words are shaping your destiny. Make sure they are building a future filled with hope, faith, and victory. Surround yourself with the right people. Your environment matters. Have you ever noticed how the people around you affect the way you think, act, and see yourself? Have you ever felt motivated and inspired just by being around someone who believes in you? Or on the other hand, have you ever felt drained, discouraged, and doubting yourself because of the voices speaking into your life? It's no coincidence your environment matters. The people you surround yourself with are either pushing you forward or pulling you back. They are either speaking life and possibility into your future or planting seeds of doubt and limitation in your mind. Imagine a seed. If you plant a seed in rich, healthy soil where it gets the right amount of sunlight and water, it will grow strong and flourish. But if you plant that same seed in dry, rocky soil where it gets no nutrients, no sunlight, and no care, what happens? It struggles, it barely survives, it never reaches its full potential. That seed is you. And the soil, that's the people you surround yourself with. Let me tell you a story. There were two young men who grew up in the same neighborhood with the same struggles and the same challenges. One of them fell into a group of negative, toxic friends. They told him he would never make it, that dreaming big was a waste of time, that success was for other people, not for him. Slowly, he started to believe them. He gave up on his goals. He settled for less than he was capable of. The other young man found a different group, mentors, leaders, and friends who challenged him to think bigger. They spoke words of encouragement. They reminded him that he had potential, that his circumstances didn't define him. They helped him grow. Years later, the first young man was still stuck in the same place, full of regret, but the second one, he became a successful entrepreneur, impacting thousands of lives. What was the difference? Their environment. Listen to me, you cannot grow in toxic soil. If you surround yourself with negative, small-minded, jealous people, you will begin to absorb their mindset. If you are always around those who complain, make excuses, and never strive for more, you will start to think and act the same way. But when you surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you, who push you to become better, you rise to a new level. Think about an eagle. Eagles don't fly with pigeons. They don't waste time on the ground. They soar at high altitudes. If you want to live a life of greatness, you cannot spend all your time with people who are comfortable staying small. Now, let me ask you, who are you surrounding yourself with? Do they encourage you or discourage you? Do they challenge you to grow, or do they keep you stuck in old habits? Do they push you to be your best, or do they bring out the worst in you? Because the truth is, who you walk with will determine where you end up. The Bible says in Proverbs 13:20, walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. That means the people you allow into your life are shaping your future, whether you realize it or not. So today I challenge you, take a look at your circle. If you want to succeed, surround yourself with people who are striving for success. If you want to grow in faith, surround yourself with people who encourage you spiritually. If you want to break free from negative patterns, surround yourself with people who are moving in the direction you want to go. And if you find that some relationships are pulling you down, it's okay to let go. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean you don't care, but it does mean that you value your purpose enough to protect it. Because at the end of the day, your environment matters. Choose wisely and watch how your life begins to change. Take action, step out in faith. Don't wait, move forward. How many dreams have died because someone was waiting for the perfect time? How many opportunities have been lost because fear whispered, you're not ready yet? Too many people live their lives waiting for the right moment, the right resources, the right feeling. But let me tell you something today. The perfect time will never come. If you keep waiting, you will wake up one day and realize that life has passed you by. If you want to accomplish something, if you want to step into your purpose, you have to move forward in faith. Think about a baby learning to walk. Does the baby wait until it knows exactly how to walk before taking the first step? No, the baby wobbles, stumbles, and falls. But what happens? The baby keeps getting up, and eventually it learns to run. That's how faith works. You don't wait until you have it all figured out. You take a step and God meets you there. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young man who had a dream of starting a business. He had the passion, the vision, and the ideas. But he kept telling himself, I need more money first. I need more experience. I need to learn a little more. Years went by, and guess what? He never started. Why? Because he was waiting for the perfect moment, and it never came. But then there was another man. He had the same dream, the same vision, and the same obstacles, but instead of waiting, he said, I may not have it all, but I have something, and I'm going to start where I am. So he took action. He used what little resources he had. He learned along the way. He made mistakes, but he kept moving forward. And eventually he built something incredible. What was the difference? One man waited, the other moved forward. Listen to me, if you don't take action, nothing will change. Think about Peter in the Bible. When Jesus was walking on water, Peter saw him and said, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you. And Jesus said one word, come. Now, Peter could have stayed in the boat. He could have overthought it. He could have said, what if I sink? What if I fail? What if the water doesn't hold me? But instead, he stepped out. And what happened? He walked on water. Did he stumble? Yes. But did he experience something that no one else in the boat did? Absolutely. You see, faith requires action. Too often we want God to open doors, but we're not willing to walk through them. We want miracles, but we're too afraid to take the first step. But faith is not just believing, it's moving. It's saying, I don't have all the answers, but I trust God enough to start. I don't know how everything will work out, but I refuse to stay stuck. I may be scared, but I will step forward anyway. Because here's the truth, God blesses movement. The Red Sea didn't part until Moses stretched out his staff. The walls of Jericho didn't fall until the people marched. Peter didn't walk on water until he stepped out of the boat. So let me ask you, what is God calling you to step into? What dream, vision, or purpose have you been putting off? Stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop overthinking. It's time to move forward in faith. Because when you take action, When you step out, that's when miracles happen. Keep going no matter what. Perseverance is key. Life is full of challenges. There will be days when you feel like giving up, when the weight of disappointment is too heavy, and when it seems like nothing is working out. But let me tell you something today. You must keep going. No matter what comes your way, no matter how difficult the journey gets, perseverance is the key to success. History is filled with stories of people who faced failure after failure but refused to quit. Do you know what separated them from the ones who gave up? They kept going. Take Thomas Edison, for example. Before he finally invented the light bulb, he failed over 1,000 times. Can you imagine failing 1,000 times? Most people would have quit after the first few attempts, believing they weren't good enough. But Edison didn't stop. When asked about his failures, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset of perseverance. Now, let's bring it a little closer to home. Imagine a little child learning to walk. The first time they try, they stumble and fall, but what do? They get back up. They take another step, they fall again, but do they quit? No, because something inside them knows they were made to walk. But what if that child gave up after the first few tries? What if they said, "This is too hard, I'll never walk"? That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Because we all know that walking takes time, practice, and persistence. Well, the same applies to your dreams, to your goals, to your purpose. The road to success is not smooth. It is filled with obstacles, detours, and delays. There will be moments when you feel stuck, moments when you question whether you're on the right path. But listen, those who succeed are not the ones who never struggle. They are the ones who refuse to quit. Think about an athlete training for a marathon. Do they wake up one morning and just run 26 miles effortlessly? No. They start with 1 mile, then 2, then 5. And some days their legs feel like they can't move. Some days their muscles ache, but they push through. And because they keep going, they eventually cross the finish line. Now, I want to talk about you. What dream have you been struggling with? What challenge has been making you feel like quitting? Maybe you started a business and it's not growing as fast as you hoped. Maybe you're trying to break free from an addiction, but the struggle is real. Maybe you're pursuing a calling, but obstacles keep appearing at every turn. Listen to me. Don't quit. You may be closer than you think. Many times the breakthrough happens right after the moment when most people give up. The greatest success stories often begin with people who failed over and over again, but refused to let failure define them. Even in the Bible, we see this truth. Joseph was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and falsely imprisoned before he became a ruler in Egypt. David was anointed to be king, but spent years running for his life before he finally took the throne. Paul faced shipwrecks, beatings, and imprisonment, yet he continued preaching the gospel. Why? Because they refused to give up. And that's what you must do. Yes, there will be days when it feels like nothing is working. Yes, there will be moments when you wonder if you have what it takes. Yes, there will be times when the road ahead looks impossible. But don't stop. Keep moving forward. Keep believing. Keep fighting, because in the end, those who persevere always see victory. So no matter what you're facing today, keep going. The greatest truth, God believes in you. Even when you doubt, God has a plan for you. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, maybe I'm not good enough? Have you ever doubted your own ability, your own purpose, or your own worth? Have you ever wondered if God still has a plan for you, even after all your mistakes, failures, and weaknesses? Let me tell you something today. Even when you doubt yourself, God never stops believing in you. The world may try to tell you that you're not enough. Your past may whisper that you're too broken. Fear may try to convince you that you'll never make it. But God sees something greater inside of you. something you may not even see in yourself. Think about a diamond hidden in the dirt. At first glance, it looks like just another ordinary rock. It's covered in dust, rough and unpolished. But in the hands of the right jeweler, that diamond is shaped, refined, and transformed into something priceless. That's exactly how God sees you. You may feel unworthy. You may feel like your life is messy and unfinished. But God sees beyond the dirt, beyond the rough edges, beyond the imperfections. He sees the potential, the beauty, and the purpose inside of you. And even when you can't see it for yourself, He still believes in you. Look at the stories in the Bible. Moses didn't believe he could lead. He told God, I am slow of speech and tongue. Exodus 4:10. He doubted himself. But did that stop God from choosing him? No, because God's belief in Moses was greater than Moses' doubt. Gideon was hiding in fear when God called him a mighty warrior, Judges 6:12. He didn't feel strong. He didn't see himself as a leader, but God saw something in Gideon that Gideon couldn't see in himself. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, yet Jesus still saw him as the rock upon which he would build his church. Do you see the pattern? The ones who doubted themselves the most were the ones God used the greatest. Why? Because God's plan is not based on how we see ourselves, it's based on how He sees us. And the same is true for you. You may have moments of doubt. You may question your purpose. You may wonder if you're strong enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. But listen to me. God has never doubted you for a second. He knew you before you were even born. He formed you in your mother's womb with a specific purpose in mind, Jeremiah 1:05. Every detail of your life is part of His plan, even your mistakes, even your struggles, even your seasons of doubt. He can use it all for good. Think about a GPS. When you take a wrong turn, does it cancel your entire trip? No. It simply recalculates and finds a new way to get you where you need to go. That's exactly how God's plan works. Even if you've made mistakes, even if you've taken detours, even if you've doubted yourself, God is still guiding you. He's still leading you to your purpose, and He still believes in you. So today I want you to hold on to this truth. You are not forgotten. You are not a mistake. You are not too broken for God to use. When you doubt yourself, trust in the one who has never doubted you, because the greatest truth of all is this: God believes in you.